The ultimate all-in-one electric homebrewing system is here. The new Grainfather G40 can produce up to 11 gallons of beer and features all the latest advancements in homebrewing technology, including wireless control so you can monitor your brew day from the Grainfather app. With an innovative new grain basket design that improves workflow, reaching mash efficiencies of 75% or more is easy. The 3300-watt heating element brings your wort to a boil quickly without any scorching, and the large hot plate filter guarantees that no unwanted grain matter or hop trub reaches your fermenter. Every G40 comes standard with a high-powered built-in pump that can handle temperatures over 200 degrees Fahrenheit and a full 3-year warranty that guarantees you'll be able to keep on brewing no matter what. The Grainfather G40 is available now at your favorite homebrew retailer or online at grainfather.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Keezer temperature control tips, adding Whirlfloc after the boil, and fermenting and serving at the same temps. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 281. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now call and leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107. I'm your host, Joshua Stubing. I am joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer and a snazzy CM Becker shirt, Mr. Todd Burns. I do like that.
Thank you.
Why do you look sharp today? Did you have like meetings or something? Why do you look nice?
No, just for the podcast, I like to look good, you know.
Whatever.
I'm thinking about getting a haircut, though. I can't get this thing. My hair's so is grown out so much. I can't get my head set on.
You see that look on my face, James? That jerk.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
No, bring up that hairline.
Must be nice. Here, I'm doing the rest of the show. I'm Eggman. Look at my head. I do look like an egg. I hate this. Hold on. And I'm killing the music because I'm pissed that Todd has a beautiful head of hair. You're 50.
Please kill the music.
You're 55 years old. What are you doing with that head of hair? Like you're a dad. How old's your dad?
Clean living. My dad is 87, and he told me today that when he went to the doctor's office the other day, the lady came out and said, "Mr. Burns, has anybody ever told you you're like the youngest looking 87 they've ever seen?"
He really is.
And he said, "Yeah, actually, I have heard that before." And she said, "Yeah, I went in and looked at your file and said you were 87. I walked back out here to look at you again, and I walked back in to make sure I had read it right."
Your dad, he has a better head of hair than I have. I mean, granted, because I'm basically bald. I'm balding. It's in the process, but I've accepted it. But yeah, your dad.
Hey, I am too.
No, shut up, James. You're thinning barely. And you're 50, right? See, if I had your head of hair at 36, I would be ecstatic. All my targeted.
I think I'm going to grow it out really long so I can do this during the podcast.
I hate you. All the targeted ads for me now on Facebook are for shirts for guys with dad bods, for erectile dysfunction pills, and for hair treatments. It's like, what gives Facebook? I guess.
Oh, we should move on before we have to talk about your erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, we should. Oh God, we should. Which brings me to my next thing. Hey, who would have thought that bringing up titties, TIDDIES, DDIES would have resulted in such a fun week. If you'll remember on last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago, pardon me, Todd had mentioned the sandal from your childhood, or how did it even come up? Because you were searching for tiddies. And
careful there.
I have to enunciate, and I have an impediment. It's difficult.
It's I mean, I think I told it on the show last time. When I was like 12 or 13 years old, me and Scott Davis and Todd Gould, I think, we went to the beach and they were selling titties there, and we were like, they were super soft. And I liked the way they felt. And,
like a bag of sand.
They were so nice. And I was like, I gotta have a pair of titties.
I like a good 40-year-old virgin reference, James. Oh God.
A bag of sand. So
the female CEO, the owner of the company, reached out and she goes, I heard y'all were talking about my titties. And her and Todd on the email thread back and forth could not have injected more euphemisms if they tried. It was
like third grade all over again.
Grade all over again. And she was ecstatic, so much so Todd got a free pair. They're being shipped to him. He's getting a free pair of sandals. I almost wanted to be like, I'm a co-host and there's another guy too. And we like
we like titties.
Yeah, we like. Yeah. I almost corrected you, Todd, because in your reply you spelled it wrong. You spelled it the way James spelled it in the search engine, and I wanted to correct you.
You noticed she didn't say anything.
She didn't reply because she's too nice. She's too nice. Well, so whoever let them know, because I doubt that she was listening to the show on her own. Thank you all for reaching out. Apparently she's in like the Houston area. So
no, it's in well, you know what? I don't want to say that. We got they're on a beach. They're close to a beach. Is it Galveston? Maybe that'd be
Galveston's pretty
area.
Close to. Yeah, I thought they're in Spring, Texas, is where they're manufacturing. It is over there though. It's east of us, is what I know. But anyway, I thought that was a funny follow-up for us to bring up on this week, because I was convinced the 1-star reviews were coming in, because every time someone who gets easily offended listens to our show, we say something stupid like Todd going, "They're soft titties," and when I was a teenager, I was so happy.
I was 12 years old. Yeah, I mean,
they were so nice. And someone's going to type up, "That host, he's a 12-year-old. He just," and you're like, "No, I was when I first got my."
I literally was 12 when I first got my first pair of titties.
I went to the website, and I realized I was on the wrong website. Then I went to the right website.
After a while, about an hour later.
About an hour later,
Josh was like, "Those do look comfortable."
And soft.
Todd's not lying. But the sandals do look nice, and they're pretty affordable. So maybe we should get them to sponsor the show. They don't have to, because we love it.
It doesn't sound like they need to.
No kidding. We're just giving free advertising. I love it. But anyways, yeah. So the rest of the small talk before we get into this week's show, because we do have questions that are relevant to homebrewing, I swear. If you go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, go join one of our recipe receiving tiers, and you're going to get the Summer Nights Grapefruit Pale Ale. Little anecdote about this: it's a delicious recipe that Todd Burns loves to brew and consume. It turned out your last batch, which was last year, I did look it up, turned out great. You're not brewing it this year? I
should brew it. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I?
Okay, I didn't know if you were planning on. I know you're planning on brewing.
To brew. Maybe I'll brew. I'm going to try to brew them this weekend, tomorrow.
Oh, not tomorrow. Are you?
I don't know. I'm going to try. I need to. There's something I have to do tomorrow. Yeah. So anyway, maybe Saturday.
And we've been planning out some recipes, and I know you got to do one of those as well. I'm not going to spoil.
But we don't have the yeast yet, so
it didn't come in yesterday, guys.
Oh, they did come in. So you think that the yeast I need is in that package?
100%.
It came in today, and I had Vilver take it from the lady and put it right in the fridge.
Yes.
And I explained to him 6 times to put it in the fridge, not in the freezer.
Oh God.
Yeah, and the grain came in too.
Wow. All today?
Yep. We're ready. We are ready to send out recipes.
Yeah, I'll be up there in a couple of weeks. So that was the other thing for this recipe. Let me put it back on the screen so y'all can see, because it is amazing artwork. Actually, I didn't do that artwork. It is still amazing artwork, but I was going to take credit for something I didn't do. That was from, what was his name? Mike or something.
I can't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on their screen, Todd. That's all you need to know. But anyway, the Summer Nights, which is shipping out with Imperial Juice, which also, we are very straightforward, especially James and I. IPAs and those types are not our thing, but juice is the strain for pales. And if you're trying to get that grapefruit note out of it, I think the hops are really what bring out the grapefruit for this recipe, right, Todd? I mean, you're the one who brewed it. It was a Mosaic.
Yeah, and I think I zested a little grapefruit into mine too.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, the white part of it, not the
I don't understand the difference between a chunk or zest. Zest is from the peel.
I have a zest
on the outside, yeah.
Or no, okay. I avoided the white stuff. You just use the outside. Yeah, so
I have a really thin, so you get just the outside.
Okay, and it's just for flavor.
It's really long and it kind of like looks like a cheese grater,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very, very, very fine, and I zest when I do it.
Zest is for flavor, not aroma, right?
Yeah, I think I remember like putting it in the oven, and
it is for both.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well,
you know what? It may say something about it on the recipe. Didn't it? It
doesn't yet, but I can add it. It doesn't say it in the.
Well, the original recipe, it had something on there about it.
I probably removed it. I was like, "What is this zest? Why would they talk about zest?" we do have like one of the good things about the recipe sheets is we try to add as much info as possible beyond the basics of here's your starting gravity range and here's your fermentation temps and all that. We try to add, hey, this talks about flame out. Here's what flame out means, or during this point is when we usually do this. We try to give you all the details because we're trying to help y'all brew it the way that we think the recipe is best brewed. So anyway, that is the recipe for this month. And of all levels, if you are in any tier from the $1 up to the gazillion dollar tier, you're entered in to win our giveaway, which is this Calibrated Kessler USA Lab Thermometer. It is glass. Todd, are those easy to break or hard to break?
You said they were glass.
They are glass, but you've never broken a thermometer, right?
Yeah, I've broken tons of thermometers.
Hydrometers, I knew that.
Thermometers as well.
Have you broken any of your Kessler USAs? Because those
yes.
Okay. I thought some were missing.
If it's made out of glass and I use it when I'm brewing, I have broken it before.
I believe you. The thing I broke recently, which is plastic, and I don't remember how I did it. I broke my test tube for the hydrometer. I don't know. I didn't break the hydrometer. I broke I did break the hydrometer. It was at my pop's house. I broke both. I think I dropped it.
Can I ask a stupid question before we go on?
Yeah.
Are we doing the grapefruit pale ale or the IPA? I thought
no, the pale ale. It's called.
Okay, that's what I thought, but you said something about IPA.
No, I'll just say, and I'll put it back on the screen for Todd to not see it, but for our listeners.
Yeah, but I can't see it. See, if I could see it, I wouldn't have to ask stupid questions.
I was saying it's going with juice, which is typically also used in IPA recipes. Juice is a versatile strain, but I'm saying we're using it for this one to bring out the grapefruit of the pale ale.
So really, in the brewer's notes, there's tons of stuff about what to do.
I probably took it out then when I was redoing the artwork because
So you took all the good stuff out.
I can get the original and put it back. Whatever y'all get.
You want me to send it to you?
Listen, Todd's going to approve the recipe sheet before I print them and send them with recipes.
Absolutely. So, I can tell right now I need to approve it.
Son of a gun. I love micromanaging Todd. It's my favorite version of Todd.
Well, I only micromanage people that need to be micromanaged.
Oh, I know. We have a whole micromanaging software that basically says for Josh on the top. Anyway, so yes, so if you go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, you can learn more about the giveaway as well as the recipe that we're sending out. But just a little thing too, a little house cleaning. Patreon sent me an email Monday morning. Hey, you can't do giveaways. That's not right. I go, we've been doing giveaways since we launched this in October of 2019. Oh, well, that makes it even worse. So I had to go and I can't post about giveaways now, guys, but wink,
on Patreon?
I know on that web.
Why though?
Because they don't want people to join with games of chance. It was something, I don't know. Do you think I really read her whole email besides just the... I read the part that I had to, and it was saying that you have to get rid of giveaways. So wink, wink, we're getting rid of giveaway posts on patreon.com/homebrew happy hour.
But wink, wink, we're going to choose a member of our community who is in the Trub Club, which our community is called Trub Club, guys. If you're listening, you're in the Trub Club, but there are specific Trub Club members who will potentially win one of these things. I don't know. I'll figure out a better way in future months to word it. So when one person raps us out to Patreon and they point this out, but you said wink, wink. I go, yeah, because I have Tourette's and it's a twitch.
And I wink a lot.
Yeah, and I wink a lot. How dare you point that out? Anyway, I think that's all the small talk. Oh, I have one more small talk. I had Corey Purser on to talk about mead. Two things. One, it was a fantastic talk. The mead she sent me was great. I threw you under the bus, Todd, when I said to everyone, I know you didn't listen to the episode because you would have called me out already on a phone call. I mentioned how you made a mead, and I'm not convinced that it exists anymore because I haven't heard anything about it, and I feel like it's been over a year. Is the mead still in fermentation? And
yeah, I've actually moved it from secondary
to tertiary.
3 times now. So it's getting close. It's nowhere near it's nowhere near a year. A year is what I was going to leave it.
Okay.
It's been climate controlled the entire time.
Is it in one of those side rooms in the
Yep.
barn? Oh, okay.
Yep.
See, it's not in the room that I stay in, so I just assumed it didn't.
So one of the little rooms, yeah.
Okay. So it is still a thing. And it was tuna or prickly pear fruit.
Prickly pear fruit, which is in Texas or in Mexico, is called tuna. And it's prickly pear fruit in the mead. And the color is just beautiful. I can't wait to try it. So in fact, I think this weekend I'm going to take it over one more time to another vessel, and I am going to taste it while I'm doing that.
When I come up, well, actually, this will only benefit James and I because you'll be out of town the next time I come up. Corey sent me 2 bottles. I went through half of the first one on the podcast. Kind of got sloshed a little. It's like 11 point something %. It hit me in the face. James, I don't know how you feel about mead. I used to think I didn't like them. This one is so dry. It's very champagne-y, so it's not something we're gonna start the day off with. But I'll bring the bottle and share it with you when I come up next time because it finished great. I tried to get my wife to try it, and it was too dry for her. She prefers sweeter drinks, but
I did just send you the Brewmaster notes, and I definitely did this, and I think it made a big difference. So everybody that's brewing that grapefruit pale ale, I recommend taking some of the dried peel and cooking it in the oven like they talk about, and using that.
Okay, I'll make sure it ends up on the recipe sheet, Todd. Although you're going to be out of town when I'm shipping it, so who knows what's going to end up on there? I mean,
anybody listening, if you get a recipe sheet without the brewer's notes on it, let me know so I can write him up.
I'm going to talk to HR about this. Todd turns his hat around. HR.
Yeah.
Anyways,
How can I help you?
I do have questions for us for this week. Our first one's from our buddy Kyle. It's a voicemail, which we love and prefer, and because of the fiasco, guys, of a month ago or however long ago it was when I accidentally deleted them all, I'm getting low on voicemails, so we'd love more voicemails. Reminder before I play his voicemail, you get a $25 gift card when you leave it as a voicemail, and Todd loves voicemails, so please send more voicemails to our hotline.
I do like voicemails.
To our hotline, 325-305-6107. Here is Kyle's question.
Hey, guys, Kyle here. I was calling because I have a question about temperature control for my Keezer. I use an Inkbird, and I'm assuming most people do, but I wanted to get your insight on where to place the temperature probe. I have been putting it in a cup of water at the bottom of the Keezer, but after spilling it while switching out CO2 tanks, I started letting the probe free float in the air to avoid future messes. I figured the water would give it a more consistent temperature to keep the freezer from turning off and on too much, but I'm also not sure if keeping the probe submerged is good for the Inkbird itself. I did build in a small computer fan that cycles on every 15 minutes or so to help circulate the cold air that collects at the bottom of the Keezer, so hopefully that's helping. So what do you guys do in your own setups, and am I overthinking this one? Anyways, I love the show and appreciate the time that Todd and James take out of their real jobs to help educate the rest of us, and I guess tell Josh I said hi. Bless his heart. Thanks, guys.
Bless his heart.
Well, bless your
Bless
heart.
his heart.
I don't like being the whipping boy. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm a man. Rip this open.
I am not an animal.
I am not an animal. Yeah. I don't even know where to go from there.
I'm a dangler.
Yeah. He's got it. The only thing that's a great idea, submerging in water. The only thing is you got to make sure that the thermocouple or the probe can handle that. It doesn't, you can get water in that and ruin it. But that's a great way to get a stable reading. But I'm with Todd. I'd avoid hanging it off the side, because then it's going to because that's the cold. The cold is coming off the side walls of the Keezer. Anywhere around the center would be ideal. Maybe drape it over one of the kegs. That's
what I do. I drape it over because my Keezer usually has about 6 to 8 kegs in it. I go right in the center and I droop it over one of the kegs, so it's kind of between the kegs and the air. And then sometimes when I'm opening and closing my door, I leave it outside of the door so that all my kegs will freeze solid.
I remember. Have you ever had, I know that issue, but when you're dangling with as many kegs as you have in your Keezer, have you ever run into an issue where you think the probe was touching the keg? And if it was, would that still be close to the temperature that you'd want? Do you know what I'm asking? Like, is the keg going to be so much colder that if it were to touch one of the kegs, that it would make a difference in regards to the temperature setting?
I never touch when I'm dangling, Josh. So I don't have that problem.
I'm talking about, I've seen you. Listen, when you have a full Keezer and it's dangling, I've seen it. I've seen this before. I'm with Todd.
I don't think it matters. Okay, it's just as long as it's up there on the top. Once the temperature gets down, it's not like some parts of the Keezer are different temperatures.
They are,
but
right.
The air and the keg next to it aren't probably going to be different temperatures. The only thing you got to be real careful about is if you get it too high and your lid's not super well insulated, it could be a lot warmer, and then you could end up freezing the bottom of your kegs or freezing part of your kegs. Like sometimes I don't freeze a keg solid, but I'll have it. Maybe it went up to the top or went somewhere weird and it warms up a little bit and the beer gets a little too cold. You start to get a little ice on the edges. You can see the ice forming on the edge of the keg or on the edge of the Keezer. So, having it right in the center dangling seems to work the best for me because I've had it everywhere in there.
And you and yours, you do not utilize recirculation for air, like fans of any sort. Have you considered doing it, or you just don't need it?
I've never needed it.
James, I've never actually seen the inside of your Keezer. Is it?
Yeah, it's just kegerator. It's an old fridge. But I tell you what I'd do if I had a Keezer. I would use one of these, and I would attach it to the lid, and then that way you can push the thermocouple with the wire through and have it drop down right in the center of the kegerator.
Ah, I like that idea. And those are the key ring thing, right? I mean, they're dirt cheap.
It's just a key ring. Just anything, any kind of loop. You could even use some Gorilla tape and tape this to the lid. And then the reason why you'd want to use something with this big a hole is the thermocouple. You can push it through and drape it down long enough to where it's down in the center of the kegerator. And then when you open the lid, it'll move.
Would you call it a perk of us who own kegerators that we don't need Inkbirds or anvils or any of those because ours are fridges, right? They're not having to. As far as like compressors go, do you think that makes a difference? I just had that thought in my head, like you having to use a temperature controller, does that put more burden on the compressor? It shouldn't, right?
It's not any different than what a fridge is doing. It's just coming on and off.
Right. Okay.
Well, and you got, all those Inkbirds, you can set it to different levels. Not levels isn't the right ranges. So you could have it turn off and on with a 1 degree variance or 2 degree variance or a 3 degree variance.
I remember.
So that way, if you have it at 2 degrees and you have it set at 38, it's going to warm up to 40 before it turns back on. And then it will go down, cool, and can go below that temperature and then wait and then start that cycle over. So you kind of got to find a happy medium, maybe 39, 38, whatever you want, but because it's not going to stay consistently at that temperature. Otherwise you would be starting and stopping your compressor too much and it could hurt it.
Yeah. Trying to think of a way to wrap up Kyle's question. But besides, I'm still just so.
I think we're done.
Utterly offended though by him. Yeah, you're overthinking it, Kyle. You're overthinking it, and I revoked the $25 gift card. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, Kyle, so much for submitting your question. I don't mind. People, I've actually been asked before. People are like, "Oh, do you mind getting dogged on?" No, I have a good sense of humor, and I own mini mirrors in my house. I know what I look like, and I watched. I edit the episode. I'm okay, guys. But anyway, thank you so much for submitting the question. A reminder, like I said at the top of the question, if and when you submit a voicemail to 325-305-6107, we give you a $25 gift card. That's what Kyle got for making fun of me. Now, obviously, you have to ask a question too. If you do it by voice, by email or the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com, you get a $15 gift card. So still pretty good. But again, voicemail is the way Todd prefers it because he wants to make sure our audience is real. So moving on, our second question comes from our buddy Martin, who sent a text message to 325-305-6107. Martin wrote, "Dumb question. Can I add Whirlfloc when pitching yeast in my fermenter? I forgot to add it during the brewing." I can answer this one. No, you can't add it then. It requires, what is the present progressive form of dissolving? It needs to be dissolved into the boil.
Boiling. Yeah, it's got to be in a boiling. Yeah, it's 15 minutes of the boil.
What would happen, hypothetically, James, if I add it into cooled wort, is the tablet, it's not going to do anything, right? Because the nutrients aren't being...
dissolved into the wort.
Right. I mean, like sublimated or whatever the word. I'm trying to think of fully into it. If you put in the fermenter, it's going to dissolve in there, but it's not going to fulfill its purpose, right?
Well, I would even say it wouldn't dissolve. It's probably just going to fall to the bottom with all the trub.
So it will literally do nothing adding it there. It's funny too, because I want to know Martin to follow up with us because he obviously asked us after this happened. So if you did include it, if you did put it in during the pitch part, I'd be interested to know, did you just see it when you were transporting your beer into the secondary or into keg or whatever? Did you notice that little tablet? But Todd, were you going to say something before I interrupted you?
Well, James mentioned 15 minutes. That's what I'd have always heard too. But there's a lot of people say you should do it 5 minutes. I don't know the right answer to that. If any listener has any feedback on that, I'd love to know. I started doing it 5 minutes, but I hear 15, 10, and 5.
I've always done 15 because that's
I've always done 15.
Well, I know the one thing we can all agree on is it needs to be during the boil. Like that's the one, like for making it relevant to Martin's question. It has to be during the boil for your wort to get the benefit of the Whirlfloc. Which is for clarity, right? In that the ultimate use is for, I mean, I'm going to call it a yeast nutrient, but it's not a yeast nutrient in the traditional sense, right? It's for
it's for doesn't it allows protein to clump together.
Okay, I mean, I knew that's why I say I hate because Irish moss is nutrient, considered nutrient, right?
That's a fining agent.
Is that also a fining agent? Okay. See, I don't know here's where we learn. I don't know what yeast nutrients are because every time I think about yeast nutrients, I'm like, oh, you mean like the Whirlfloc or the Irish moss? But Irish moss is also one you add during boil. It's one or the other usually, right? Like Whirlfloc is Irish moss tablet form. Basically.
Both of those last 15 minutes of the boil is the way I've always done it.
So if he...
Yeah, and I do 5. I mean, there's a huge... Believe it or not, there's a huge controversy about it online.
Huge is
like they say the manufacturer says if you do it after 10, if you do more than 10, there's some issue with it. I have to look it up again, but
you looked it up. I think
so. I started doing it 5, and I don't know. I'll make that a point. I'll try to find out what the deal is because I changed it and I do it at 5 now.
Since when?
So for a long time, I looked
you didn't
at it.
Tell us? Why didn't you ever tell us?
2 or 3 years ago. Well,
2 or 3 years.
Do you never notice? You never notice that I do it at 5?
You're about to say you never notice how much better my beer is than yours. That's what you're about to say.
You never notice. I mean, you brew with me, and I do it at 5.
I don't pay attention during brew day. What kind of a question is that?
Here's I just found a deal here. It says, according to the manufacturer, 5 minutes is correct. If a world tap is in the boil longer than 10 minutes, the active ingredients become denatured and will not do their job. I mean,
whatever.
That's on the internet. And everything that is written out on the internet is true. We all know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. I want to look at your search engine history. Actually, no, I don't. I don't care to look at that. But okay, so regardless of the time to add it, we all, to Martin's question, can agree that it is pointless. Would it be detrimental to add it, James, like during the pitch? Or I say detrimental, like, is it going to hurt it? Obviously, we think it's not necessary. It's not going to do anything beneficial to add at that point because it needs to dissolve through the boiling wort. But can he now expect, oh, God, you just added some off flavors because you happen to add this at a time you really shouldn't have? Like, is it going to ruin his batch?
No, I don't think it'd do anything.
Okay, yeah, literally
just sink to the bottom of the fermenter and just sit there.
It was a waste of a tablet. What do those cost now?
Yeah.
Like 5 cents a tablet, if even. I mean, they're so
not much.
It's so cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. 10 pats are $1 or something. So it's like 10 cents a Whirlfloc tablet. But I know people online who don't use it at all. And Todd, to counter your counter, they would say, I don't use. Oh, James, I would imagine you don't use it because you filter 95% of your beers anyway, right?
I haven't filtered in quite a while. I just enjoy the fact that I'm lucky enough. Todd's provided us with a really good fermenter with the cooling coil. So you just keep it cold for a while and it'll clear. It'll go clear.
I didn't add Whirlfloc to that coal shell we're drinking because I didn't have any at my house. And I think the 9 wheats of it sitting in a keg, cold conditioning, is why I didn't look at your batch. I'm assuming because it came from the same 10-gallon batch. Todd's on tap when I was up there last time. It's crystal clear. It's one of the better Kolsch's I think I've brewed in a while.
You did good.
I'm happy with it.
It's very good. I had a little bit last night.
Did you?
I had a Kolsch and an Alt beer last night, brewed by my two favorite brewers, and they were both excellent. So thank you, Josh, for your wonderful, wonderful Kolsch, and James for your Alt beer.
You led me to believe the Alt beer was out. You know that?
I never said that.
No. But you led me to believe it was out. You told me you took the faucets off because, the keg was pretty low anyway. There's not a whole lot in it. That was like verbatim what you told me why the faucet was off that outside kegerator.
I don't know what you're talking about.
See, I knew it. Oh, I knew it. And I guarantee you, James, I'll bet you $5. And the only reason I'm going to lose this bet is for Todd to spite me. When I come up there, when he's gone on his trip in the first week of June, that all the taps are going to be off of the kegerator and the Keezer.
I have a feeling after checking the Alt beer last night when I had one, that when you open it up, when you're here, it's going to go.
Oh my gosh, I hate you. That's my favorite beer on tap right now over there, James. Your Alt beer was incredible.
Funny you mentioned that. One of my favorite too.
It finished so good.
Mine was gone a long time ago.
I believe you. You're the one we need to. You're going to brew a lager at some point soon, right?
I did Friday. It's in the fermenter right now. I just went to diacetyl.
You're doing diacetyl rest today?
Yep.
That's fantastic. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
So you're going to get a keg of it. Todd's going to get a keg of it. I get a keg of it.
I'm so happy. Can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be good. I can tell.
I believe it. James, when I think of German lagers, I think of James Carlson.
That's a new recipe, but I just kind of threw some base malt together in a single hop edition. So
has it been weird for you now that we're basically only getting ingredients for Trub Club kits, and like this grapefruit one's not one I know you're thinking, I'm ready to brew. So you're having to just make up recipes based off of base malts, right? And whatever.
Dude, when you order the grains for Homebrew Happy Hour and pay through them through Homebrew Happy Hour, James and I get grains that we want.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm a dummy.
We sneak that in there.
Good. Well, you got to make a pallet's worth, right, to make it worth the shipping.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Good. I'm glad y'all are doing that because I was thinking like poor James went from having all the ingredients his heart desired up there, just to now having to MacGyver out recipes. Like, okay, what we're gonna do? It's like the end of days where like I'm gonna have to make this recipe with. I have 12 pounds of this malt. So
hey, as long as there's pills and malt and Cara pills, I can make a beer with that.
Shoot, yes, you can. And yeah, I just need some Pilsen and some Vienna, and I'm good too.
On this one I added a little more. I used tradition hops.
You've been liking those lately. Use that for your alt, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a good hop.
Yeah, we have a ton of pearl. We need to figure out a recipe to use that pearl in.
I know I've looked a few times.
We have
we definitely should, but we've got lots of hops and we got lots of beer to brew. It's not a matter of trying to use stuff up. It's a matter of the time to brew, right? So
that is a very good point. But all right. So anyways, Martin, I so digressed, but thank you for submitting your question. Moving on, guys, to our third, and it's our final question for this week because we're busy people. Came from our buddy Brian, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Brian wrote, "Hey fellas, I love the pod and listen every week. I am picking up a small Keezer, big enough for one tap keg and a fermentation bucket. The plan is to brew and serve lagers so I can keep temps low and not worry about ruining fermentation. Are there any ales you can think of that would benefit from lower fermentation temperatures, or should I stick to lagers alone? Cheers from Iowa, B." I think the very nature of ales in lagers is the difference in fermentation temperatures.
But there's two that that would be perfect if they're used to doing colder fermentation.
Pray tell us, James. What would those be?
I think that would be an alt beer and a Gulls.
That's why I included this question. I was like, oh, I know the answer. I know two beers, my friend, that you can ferment and also serve. Todd, put your glasses back on. Quit rubbing your eyes.
I knew we were going with this.
I had to listen to you talk about sandals for more than I wanted to. You're going to hear us talk about alt and Kolsch. No,
and it's in the yeast. That's the key. And oddly enough, Imperial makes a Keezer yeast it's not as highly fluctuant as the Dieter, but it'll go all the way down to the 56 degrees and ferment.
Right. And
it's super clean.
Well, and Brian's already got the right thought, understanding that it is possible. A lot of people think, oh, I can't use my serving unit for fermenting it because the temperature differences. But even if you were serving cold, you can always secondary or cold condition rather alongside if you have the space for it, right? Like if you're serving at 38 degrees, that's great for cold conditioning. Like if you've got the space for it, do that. But there are lagers you can, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never done this. I believe my dad's neighbor actually did this, but you can ferment at 56, 57 and serve at that, and everyone's happy. Like you're not going to have any issues serving a crispy German Pilsner at 56, are you?
I would drink it at that temperature.
That's what I mean. Like it's not warm.
You can do, like I said, the Dieter, that's a good yeast to use. But it's 60 degrees. Now Keizer's 56. So that's their low end. The reason why I like Dieter is at 60 degrees, it still ferments out clean, but it's highly fluctuant. So you can brew that beer and it'll come out fairly clear
on the lager
without
James,
a really extended conditioning.
Before you interrupt real quick, Todd, let me ask James real quick. What's the lower end? Your favorite strain, I think, of all time is Harvest. What is the
Harvest?
What's the lower end of
degrees.
Harvest? So 50. Now, Todd, I'll throw it to you. What is the highest you would ever go serving a basic German Pilsner or a Kolsch? What's the highest temperature you would possibly go before you get uncomfortable serving it?
I mean, I don't think I would like it at like 58 degrees. I mean, I would like it, but that seems a little warm to serve that kind of beer. Plus the foam issue. I mean, it'd be so hard to control foam at that temperature because it's a fairly highly carbonated beer. Most of the beers they serve a lot warmer are much lower carbonated too, like the English beers.
Yep. That's true.
So, well, okay, I'm Joe Schmo. I've got my X1's faucets and my large inner diameter tubing. And so flow control set up and foam is not an issue because I can restrict that bad boy with the compensator built into the faucet. Now, are you going to get any off flavors or it's just an uncomfortable temperature overall besides the foam, if that was still an issue?
I mean, if you brewed it that, I don't think you're going to get off temperature. I mean, you maybe have to, if you stored it that way for a long time, but
so,
I mean, you're still going to have issues controlling foam at 58 degrees, even if you have a CM Becker. Compensation. I mean, restriction works well, but I mean, you got CO2 that's dying to get out of beer at that temperature.
Okay.
So I think it would be difficult to serve. But more importantly, my taste, I mean, I don't like beer super cold. I'm not a fan of, you go to places and they have 28-degree beer, but I also, if I'm going to drink a Kolsch by the pool in the summer, I want it to be probably in the high 30s.
40. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then
personal preference though.
So are you then in the camp of thought that you shouldn't use a single cooling unit like a Keezer to do both primary and serving? Is that, or would you say that? Like you wouldn't want to serve your beer ever at the low end of a lager yeast, which is 50.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. If I have an ESB right now, I'd serve that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Then
you're
try it, see.
or a good,
James, that's
maybe
absolutely right.
a good stout or a porter or something like that.
Well, that's the styles I was thinking of that serving in the like 50 or low 50s. I think a porter would be great.
That's probably where they should be served at. It's so hard to have, 6 beers and try to serve one at 50 and one at, we all kind of end up going to around the 38 range unless we're huge fans of British beers and we have 6 British beers or we just have one beer on tap and we want to serve it a little warmer. But again, you don't want to carbonate it as highly either.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your main concern would be the foam. I mean, because I would make for a pouring experience. No pun intended, but it would be a bad pour. It would be a pour, and you don't want pour.
Well, in the style, I mean, I just think that we're kind of somewhat conditioned to like different styles at different temperatures. So, I mean, if it's a style that's traditionally, I mean, if I go to England and I go to a pub and they serve me a porter at 36 degrees, I'm going to be like, what the hell? I can't even taste this.
Right.
Because most of that taste that you get out of that beer is from drinking it at a higher temperature.
Right. That makes sense. So dissecting this question, great that you're able to utilize your single cooling unit to do both. You're not going to have an issue with the lagers and serving as well. With ales, if you're cranking down, or pardon me, if you're for primary fermentation, it can still be done because, like you said, that Keezer is 55 or right?
Yeah.
It's like 55.
56.
56. So it can still be done at that. Mm-hmm. And still, if you're serving when your lager, or if you have a porter or whatever, right, it's gonna be fine. But what you're saying, Todd, is like you don't want to, as for the long term, always serve that beer in the mid 50s or whatever.
Well, I mean,
depending on the style.
If you brew a lot, because you're leading the witness now. So if you brew a lager and you want to serve it at a high temperature, I would just carbonate it less. How about that?
There. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, leading the witness. I like that. I'd make a good lawyer. So Todd, you murdered the man with the knife. What was the brand of the knife?
Gerber. I love. Oh wait.
No, Gouda. Not Gouda. Gouda.
Gerber. Gerber's the one. My favorite knife.
Yeah,
if I murdered the guy with a knife, I almost certainly
Oh,
used
but
a
that
Gerber.
German brand that you love too. You made me walk the factory.
Like kitchen. Oh, I used a kitchen knife. I'm sorry.
Oh, those are kitchen. Those aren't only kitchen knives. I think. What was that brand name? Gouda. Gouda. Gude. Gude. I don't even know how they pronounce it. It's Gude.
Yeah.
Anyway, he made me tour the factory. He was so pumped. That was the first time I ever went to Germany. I couldn't sleep because I have a terrible fear of flying, and I didn't learn the whole take a Z-Quill with whiskey trick yet. And so I didn't sleep at all the whole flight. I was like 27 hours.
Oh, they are wonderful knives.
And he made me walk that German factory.
Was so fun. Oh,
it was it? I barely remember it. I feel like I was intoxicated, and I didn't have a single drop of liquor. It was terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure the guy was like, "God, what a waste of time taking these Americans through the factory." And then he was like, "Wow, $1,000 sale."
I was gonna say Todd dropped some money. I do remember that because I was like, "Is he drunk? What is going on right now?" We got to have a bread knife. And
then after I spent all that money, I had I had the opposite of buyer's remorse because I didn't buy the biggest knife. And then Stefan's like, "You could just have mine, Todd."
That's right. I remember that. And they shipped it all over. I do remember. I forgot why I was talking about knives. But anyways, Brian, Thank you for submitting the question. Gentlemen, that's all I have for this week. I appreciate y'all's time. A reminder again about the questions. If and when you use it by voicemail to 325-305-6107, we give you a $25 gift card to techconnection.com. Can you not tell that we're soliciting voicemails this episode? So with all that being said, gentlemen, y'all have a great weekend. Todd, I'll talk to you probably right after this because we got stuff to do. So anyways,
right,
I'll see y'all later, guys. Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you would like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or be Todd's best friend and leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107. Brew better beer with the new Grainfather G40 all-in-one electric system, available now at grainfather.com. Also get a free pack of Imperial Yeast along with our premium recipes when you join our Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.